Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. This is a US politics pet peeve whinge from my good self. And I am just going to pick up on a comment. I don't know whether it's a good faith interlocutor or whether this is a trollish comment. Apologies to Derek Michael Reed if you're not a troll. But these kind of comments really annoy me because they are an attempt by someone to defend their favourite person by allowing that favourite person to do whatever they like and still rationalise that that's cool. And to accuse me of being slow and not knowing what I'm talking about or whatever. And it irritates me. It's like red rag to a bull. Obviously, if you're going to accuse me of being less than I think I am, then I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to call you out. So this is the idea that Trump said he was going to solve the Ukraine war within a day, and that he would do that before he was elected, and any number of things that Trump has said that are clearly not going to come true, because he made a load of claims, and they're all fairly bombastic claims, and the claims about, say, tariffs that he's still making are bombastic and huge. You think, oh my goodness, that's crazy, you wouldn't do that. And he's going to do that. And so the first problem is, how do you differentiate when he's being hyperbolic and rhetorical and when he's being genuine? Because it seems he's fairly bombastic on all his claims, and some appear to be coming true, as in the tariffs, and everyone's taking very seriously on his tariffs. But now that it looks impossible for him to solve the Ukrainian war, this very complex thing that he's telling people elsewise that, oh, it's looking like it's going to be as complex as the Middle East crisis, that he's now not going to be able to solve that in a day. So did he genuinely mean it before? How do you know that he genuinely didn't mean it and that it was just hyperbole? But also this idea that he was saying he was going to solve the Ukraine crisis, the Ukraine war, and he was not going to give further aid to Ukraine, and he's now looking like he is going to give further aid to Ukraine. So this is a pivot, right? So then you can't say, oh, he was just saying that, like that he was going to stop aid to Ukraine as a way of leveraging X, Y, and Z, but actually he was always going to pivot once he found out all the information that he needed to know. Well, he's just been elected in on account of him saying that he was going to give no further aid to Ukraine. And people said, oh, this is great, this guy's solving all the wars, he's not going to give any aid to Ukraine. Even though I fully disagree with this position, if I was disliking Ukraine and I was some kind of pro-Russian appeaser, then I'm voting for Trump on account of the fact that he's not going to give any of my American taxpayer dollars to Ukraine. Right, so if I voted for him on account of that, so I'd say I'm Tucker Carlson, I'm like, yep, I'm big on that, I'm voting for Donald on account of that, and then he gets in and he pivots, then I've been lied to. So either this is rhetorical hyperbole that was never going to come true, but if people believe it, then it's not hyperbole, or it's downright lying. So when someone comes onto my threads and says, John, are you slow? DJT, so Trump took the dove position because Harris took the hawk position for election purposes. As predicted, DJT is pivoting. Who predicted that? Did all the electorate predict that? Did the people who voted for him on the original position think he was going to pivot? No. That pivoting, therefore, is going against his election agenda. His, if you like, not that he really had one, but his manifesto. So this pivoting, no, you can't do this. You cannot do this prior to taking office. John is slow, but eventually gets there. Shut up. Right, I'm going to call you. You don't call me slow. You don't come onto my threads and insult me like that. So you can jog on, right, Derek Michael Reed, because what you are doing is you are seeing someone pivot, and on the one hand, you can either claim, oh, this was hyperbole, or on the other hand, say this was always intended. Well, then that is lying to the electorate. Here's an example. If I, in the UK election, I was running for Prime Minister of the UK, I said, I am going to abolish the NHS. And so people vote for me on account of that I am going to abolish the NHS, the National Health Service in the UK. and they say, brilliant, I'm going to vote for you. That's a really strong position. And then I get in and say, ha, I was just fooling you, because of course I'm going to not only not abolish the NHS, I'm going to support it even more, or I'm going to support it in this particular way. Then my electorate, the people who voted for me, have every right to be absolutely angry with me on account of lying to them. This isn't like, oh, he's always going to pivot. You're so slow, you didn't understand he was going to do this. No one thought he was going to do this, apart from I was actually said that he might do that. And I said there are two reasons why he might pivot. One might be because he gets intel and actually learns about these things that he's been, I think, exceptionally ignorant about previously. Or he takes on the hero persona, whereby he pivots because he realizes that will make him look more like a hero, and it's more about his narcissism than actually getting the intel, or a combination of both, right? And so, as Derek then says, who seriously relies on what politicians promise during election campaigns? So what? Now you cast this is called going nuclear, essentially. Stephen Law, the philosopher, has talked about this in a slightly different context and in a slightly different way, but the idea is you're just exploding everything, and he's just like, well, we don't believe anything, politicians. In that case, what's the point of them saying anything? In that case, you're just exploding the whole idea of politicians saying they're going to do anything, and the whole notion of manifestos, the whole notion of ideology is out the window, because you no longer have an ideology because you're lying, or potentially lying, and no one knows whether you're lying or not. So both of these positions are very bad positions, and I will call you out publicly on them. DJT obviously never had a one-day peace plan. Come on, John, wise up. So we can't rely on what he says and what he promises during an election campaign. Apart from, apparently we can, because you want to get rid of all illegal immigrants and you want tariffs. So how are you differentiating on what you can rely on from Trump and what you can't? Because it looks like just when he is unable to do what he promised, it's like, oh, he was always lying about it. Oh, that was just rhetoric. That was bombastic talk there from Trump. No, that's only because he's realised he can't do it. That's just post hoc rationalisation there, after the fact rationalising from Derek Michael Reed. So I was annoyed in reading these comments, so much so that I'm coming on and speaking to you about that. But I think I do this not just in order to get into an argument with someone online, whatever, but actually just as a kind of cautionary tale, as an exemplification of the sorts of arguments that you might see. And hopefully you'll be able to push back on, because these are not good arguments. These are not good faith arguments, or if they are, this is a cognitive dissonance reduction by someone like Derek Michael Reed. So it's someone that has the core belief that Trump is making all the right decisions, and whatever their agenda was correct before they were elected, but then you've got evidence against that agenda being correct because they pivoted, and you have this dissonance. How do you solve that dissonance? Oh, bombastic rhetoric. Oh, hyperbole. Oh, we can't. Do you believe politicians when they say so? Yes, I do. Or I'd like to. I'd like to live in a world where I'm voting for someone who is going to do what they said they were going to do, and not voting for someone because they said something that they were planning on doing. Because if we can't know what each politician is going to do when they get into power, then the whole notion of voting is pointless, because it's just random. I'm going to vote for you because you've got the right colour hair that I like. Because if I can't know what on your agenda or what on your agenda you are going to enact when you get in, this whole thing is pointless. The campaign is pointless. What am I voting on? So we have to expect that what politicians say is what they believe and is what they are going to do. And sometimes there might be elements that might change their policy agenda because things come into light, or the environment changes, or things. There are variables at play. But essentially, you can't just be full of lies and hyperbole and expect that to be fine for the electorate. That's not cool. Anyway, there's my whinge, there's my rants. I haven't ranted for a long time. So there's a freebie for you on this Friday evening. Take care, speak soon.